Hello, hello, hello. This is Tamika, Seaton, President and CEO of Grow Your Nonprofit, where we help startup, small and stagnant nonprofits grow through fundraising strategies, strategic planning, and so much more. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the sponsors of my podcast. Hodges University, with a campus in Fort Myers. Stay near, go far. They change lives for the better. Trinity Life Foundation Naples, helping at-risk youth change their lives around through enrichment programs. AVID, that stands for the Associations of Haitians Living Abroad. They just opened an amazing community resource center right here in the beautiful Fort Myers, where they will help you with immigration, utility assistance, rental assistance, and so much more. Last but not least, Vaxtruth received a CDC grant to raise awareness of COVID-19 and the vaccine in the Black and Brown communities. Guys, today you are in for a treat. I have my special guest with us today, Scot Buss with the Midwest Food Bank, Florida. Welcome, Scot.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Scot, let's start with you telling us a little bit about yourself and how you came about working with the Midwest Food Bank, Florida.
Well, I've been a salesman most of my life, and I was trying to get out of it, and I got into nonprofit. Originally, I got in with Pathways Early Education Center.
Oh, wow.
Beth Hatch had hired me down there, and she took a chance on me, and I did pretty well, and then there was an opening. They had the development person at Midwest Food Bank was leaving because she was
oh, I wonder who that is.
a spectacular employee. She was leaving, and there was an opening, and they hired me, and it's been my favorite job I've ever had, for sure.
Wow.
I love going to bed at night. I sleep great. It's exciting.
So why is it your favorite job that you've ever had?
Well, like I said, I've done sales forever, and before I was making money for some rich guy to put jet fuel in things like that, buy a new car. Now it's like my job is literally to raise money, to get food, to give it away to those people that need it.
Yeah, that's so amazing. Before I decided to go full-time in consulting, I actually worked in government, both in county and city government. And when I left, I worked in the mayor's office as a public information officer. Everyone thought I was nuts. They said, "Why would you leave the mayor's office? Because you're meeting like congressmen and delegations from around the world. Why would you leave that to go work in nonprofit?" Because I worked with the abused women's shelter. I was like, "Are you kidding me? The work that you do for nonprofit, you see the impact that you're making in people's lives, and you have purpose every day."
Yes.
And I still feel the same way today. What I do, I love what I do. I can't imagine doing anything else.
No, like it's so rewarding. I mean, even after the hurricane, I mean, there was so much work going on. There was so much stuff to do, but at the end of the day, it was rewarding. Like I was helping other people. I mean, it was day in, day out. The day after the storm, boots on the ground. We were literally I got up, I think when the storm came on a Wednesday, I believe, and then that night, went to bed, because what are you going to do? There's no power, no nothing.
Right, exactly.
Woke up in the morning, I did a little trip around my house. I had a couple trees down, but nothing was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Little bit of pool, roof damage, nothing I could do, nothing that needed immediate attention. Went to work, and my executive director, Carl, was already there, unloading the freezers, putting them in the trucks, making sure all the produce stays cold, making sure all the freezer stuff stays frozen. So it was and then when you're on boots on the ground and you're seeing these people that are just obviously we all went through it, so we all understood it, but some of us fared better as far as the property went, and help being able to be there right away helping those people. It was one of the, I mean, it almost sounds bad when I say it out loud like this, but it's like one of the best experiences of my life.
Yeah, no, I completely understand how you feel. I had the pleasure of touring the Midwest Food Bank last year. You gave me a tour, and I was really impressed. I'm like, wow, this is a major operation that heavily depends on volunteers to make it all possible. The big warehouse, the pallets and pallets of food, and the tractor, I'm not sure what you call that machine, where the guy is moving the food around. And I was even more impressed when your executive director was out there, like you said, boots on the street. He was actually working and doing the work. And in addition to that, I came and I helped volunteer to pack food as well, because like you, my house sustained very minimal damage, and I wanted to know how I can get involved. So with that said, share with me the Midwest Food Bank's hurricane relief aid. Specifically, what did you guys do in the community?
Well, I remember ahead of time, before it was coming, it was going to hit Tampa and this and that. And, full disclosure, I was not really paying that much attention. But,
right.
But Carl's a by-the-book guy. And he's like, okay, when we're in watch or we're in warning or whatever, we have to do this, and this. We have a contract with the Salvation Army. We have to make sure that we have this on hand and this on hand. And he's getting everything all prepped up. And full disclosure, a couple of us were kind of like,
right.
All right, all this extra work for nothing. That's fine, but you got to do it, I guess. And then, thankfully, he did everything because, of course, Monday, I think it was Monday night, it turned, and then it was kind of like rut-roll. We got something coming on here. So then it was after the hurricane hit, and the next day, the other major food bank in town actually sustained some damage. So they weren't open for, I'm not exactly sure when, it was 7 to 10 days. So it was us, and it was like we were going to the shelters. Lee County was like, we need you to do this, we need you to do that. FEMA was like, we need you to do this, we need you to do that, and we were able to do everything that was required upon us, for sure. But it wasn't without our employees. Like I always joke around. I'd show up places and I'd have to work a pallet jack or a forklift or something like that, and I'd be like, hey, listen, I do fake Facebook posts. Let me give me a minute. It's not gonna be as quick as you're used to it, But I was in a truck. I was driving a truck around.
Wow.
I was dropping off stuff on. Couple days afterwards, I was on Fort Myers Beach with we took a semi there, but the semi guy came from somewhere else. He didn't know where to go. He needed help. I rode with him, but we were unloading pallets of water and MREs.
MREs.
Yeah, meals ready to eat.
Okay. No acronyms. That's the podcast rule. No acronyms.
I'm not. I wrote down MREs.
Every time you.
Good, because I won't have very many of them.
Okay. Very good. Because you'll get penalized every time you use an acronym.
All right.
And we'll donate it back to the Midwest Food Bank.
Hey.
Okay, yeah, so, very amazing work we do. I know just before this podcast, I was talking to one of my colleagues about that there's no shortage of food. There's logistics is really the issue, because some of the companies having to throw the food away because it's not feasible for them to get it directly to the people, and that's where the Midwest Food Bank comes into play. Can you share with our audience what is the difference between the Midwest Food Bank and other food banks and our pantries?
Right. Well, the biggest thing for us, at least, is we give away everything for free. There's no charge, zero charge. Our turnaround is, for every dollar that gets donated, 99 cents of that goes back into the program. So one penny goes towards, not going back into the program. Every dollar turns into between $31 and $34 of food. Just for example, during the hurricane, in the first month, we gave out 52,000 cases of water. We did over 9,000 disaster boxes. That's what you were in there packing, if memory serves me correctly. We did 500,000 meals ready to eat.
Oh, wow.
I refer to them as astronaut food because they're kind of good forever, and they might not be the best tasting things in the world, but when you don't have any power,
everything is good.
Yeah. We did about 6 tons of protein. 250 tons of protein and dairy. All in all, in the first 30 days after the storm, we literally gave out $6.2 million worth of food.
Wow, right? Amazing.
And those are the main things that we talk about, but our volunteers are really the most important thing. That's kind of our secret sauce as far as that goes. We have 800 volunteers for every paid employee. We only have 5 paid employees at Midwest Food Bank. $58 million, something like that, is what we normally give away in a given year of food, and it's literally five employees doing all that. So if we lose an employee, if they were really good at something, we better find somebody pretty good at doing those same things. The beautiful girl that was before me, She was unbelievably good at doing grants. Some people joke around and say I do grants with a crayon.
Right.
But I'm good at other things. You know what I mean? So we're able to outsource some of those types of things, and that's important.
Yeah, you mentioned you don't charge. Can you elaborate? What do you mean by that? Are you saying that other food banks charge for food?
Yes, there'll be a small charge for delivery for a fuel surcharge, something like that.
Oh, so to help offset their costs.
Yes,
I see.
It'll be for their costs for sure.
Okay.
And that's a pretty standard thing. That's not like but our founder, for him it's an absolutely no. Like, we do not charge for anything. Well, we can get this or we need to get that. Okay, if we can do it, well, let's do it. And then they get it for free. Well, nope, 100% free. It's
okay. So being that you're in development, and I'm a fundraiser, you're a fundraiser, and I'm always interested in fundraising because I always believe not only in your business life but your professional life, you always should have multiple streams of income. Can you share with us? Okay, you don't charge to offset your costs. What are your fundraising strategies? You don't have to go in specific details, but generally, what are your fundraising strategies to help make what you do possible?
Well, you want to make sure you have as many stokers in the fire as you can, of course, and individual donors need to be steward, need to be
That's
thanked.
number one.
Yes.
I can't emphasize that too much because oftentimes organizations want to have events, which takes a lot of staff time, and they're very expensive because they have a lot of expenses. If you raise $100,000 for an event, but you had a donor that you've been cultivating for a number of years could stroke a check for $100,000, which is probably going to be unrestricted funds. Okay, so I like that you mentioned individual donors first. What's next?
Well, individual donors first, and there's some off things of individual donors, and planned giving is a very hard thing to talk about with people, and it's one of the challenging things that you have to do. But that's part of the individual donor. It's part of the stewardship process. I mean, it's the end part.
I love what I'm hearing, because for some reason in Southwest Florida, no one wants to touch planned giving. No one wants to talk about it. That could be a significant gift, especially if that donor does not have any family.
Right.
I mean, it could be really significant. So I like that. But could you share with our audience what is planned giving? Because maybe not everyone know what planned giving means.
Well, it's legacy giving. Normally, you're going to have something in your will, something given to the nonprofit. A lot of times, I'll usually, when I'm talking to them, something, hey, did you put us in for 10%? Ha ha ha, something like that. Kind of put it in their head.
Right.
Maybe it's just somebody's like, you know what, I'll give you 5%, and then after the 5%, the kids can split everything up. 5%. 5% of my estate might not get you lunch, but 5%. Of some of these hefty donors, I've seen $1 million gifts before like that, and sometimes they come out of nowhere.
Right.
Like
right.
maybe they did it 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, and it's different people working now, and it's just like, well, we got this check for whatever. It's like, wow.
Yeah. So a lot of fundraisers are really uncomfortable having that conversation with donors because we all know one day we're going to go to be with the good Lord. How do you start that conversation where it's not awkward for you or the donor?
I guess one of my tricks of the trade is you just kind of, it's been easier lately because, especially since COVID, the last few years, there's just been so many people that have passed or got sick or after Ian, it's just like, wow, life's so fragile. You kind of start bringing that up. Life's so fragile, and then you can segue that into.
I like that.
Yeah, and the challenge with it, obviously, there's lots of challenges, but one of the main challenges is a lot of time people will do their will, and then they just put it away and they forget about it. They don't want to touch it again. It's a pain to get it back out and do this and do that. So the a will could be from 1985.
Yeah.
You don't know. So getting it back out is definitely a challenge. But if one passes and one's still there, then that's an opportunity to get in there and explain to them their options and things like that. And then I work with a lot of money managers as well, and depending on the situation, a lot of times I can be like, listen, you can go talk to this guy, and he'll be able to at least get you pointed in the right direction, and things like that. Because knowledge is power on that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's very important, because you don't have to be the expert. You can partner with money managers.
That's a good thing.
Or even you don't want to be the expert. You want to be good at certain things and then defer to the experts for other areas. But the importance of partnerships with such as money managers and or community foundations, they could help you with that. I know you mentioned that your estate couldn't buy you lunch, and I disagree with that, because one of the strategies the organization, what you could do, or individual, you can take out a life insurance policy, and you could leave a percentage of that life insurance policy to that nonprofit. So say if you had $1 million policy, 10% is $100,000, which is significant. So you can make a significant gift. So that's another strategy. Is there another strategy that you use to continue fulfilling your mission?
As far as in planned giving, or
we talked about individual donors. We talked about planned giving. Your multiple streams of income.
The grants, of course. The grants are always important. You got to be a little bit careful on those, because sometimes, if you're spending too much time on a grant and there's too much reporting back and things like that, and you're doing the math on it, it's just like
it's not worth it.
So you got to be careful on that, and then you can't expect it just because they funded you last year. Sometimes hunger might have been their thing last year. This year it's children, and then the nice thing about being in food is everybody eats. So,
everybody eats.
So when somebody's talking about I only give to veteran places, that absolutely, and you should. The veterans are the best. We do that as well. We work with veterans. We have 6 different partner agencies, are veteran places, so we get to them as well, and helping us will also help them type scenario. I only deal with kids. Well, we have this school, that school.
Nice.
Yeah, so
very nice.
Finding out what would interest them, then you kind of go from there where their passion is at. Grants are huge. The planned giving, the individual donor, the number one thing. And then the volunteers. The nice thing about having 800 volunteers for every employee is, that's 800 people. Maybe some of my volunteers are actually some of my best givers.
Right.
But there's other volunteers that they volunteer and they don't have a huge income stream, but they're still willing to give a little bit. And then you get a few of them giving a little bit, and then next thing you know. Especially when they're monthly gifts. I got a bunch of people doing small monthly gifts, and I love those.
Yeah, those are wonderful, because those are steady streams of income.
Yeah.
That's another challenge. Planned giving, volunteers, that's also been a struggle of a lot of fundraisers. How do you ask your volunteers for a financial contribution when they're donating their time? How do you have that conversation with them?
A lot of time it'll just be I'll be letting them know this is the situation. You know what we could do, or what we do need, type scenario. And because they're already volunteering, and because they already have so much skin in the game, sometimes they'll come up with a solution. They'll be like, what if we all did $20? Blah 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 blah. When they'll come up with the ideas and things like that. But the fact that they already volunteer, they want to help more. It's not a no, I'm not going to do that because I volunteer. It's almost like, yes, I will do that because I am a volunteer.
Very good. And also we have Gen Z. What do you see your challenge with getting Gen Z involved in the nonprofit sector?
What I've found, millennials as well. No offense, are you a millennial? You got to be close, right on the cusp.
I'm almost 50 years old. Thank you very much.
So you're a.
Am I Gen X?
Gen X.
Gen X. I'm a Gen X.
They started calling.
What are you? Are you a Gen X too?
I'm a Gen X.
Okay.
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 51.
Oh, you're a baby.
Well, did you say you're almost 50?
Yeah, but you're a baby.
You're a baby then? Okay.
We're babies. When? No.
There's going to be a challenge there for sure. Baby boomers are far and away the most donors. They give the most amount of money. They give the most amount of gifts. And I don't know if that's universally through nonprofit, but I would venture to say it probably is, minus some, maybe the youth sports programs and things like that. But in general, it's baby boomers. So, they're getting older, and we all know what happens when you start getting older. So hopefully you got them in planned giving, because that's the way it goes. Our generation is pretty good, not quite as good as the baby boomers, but our issue is there's not very many of us.
Right.
We're the smallest generation by far. The millennials,
but we're special.
Yeah, special. The millennials actually have a lot of money, and they will give. They don't like to do big gifts per se, but they'll be willing to do the monthly thing. They'll give you, kind of a set it and forget it type situation. Just like a Netflix bill or a, something like that, where every single month they pay it. So the next generation is going to be more challenging than that. So I think the millennials are going to have to figure that one out, how they can get them engaged, because right now they're still young enough where they're not quite, they're not even really making their money for the most part yet, and things like that. But it's not that far down the road where they're gonna have to be part of this nonprofit world for sure.
Right. And the challenge is not only Southwest Florida. I'm originally from Los Angeles. Everything is so expensive, especially the cost of housing, food, gas. Everything has gone up. So how do you give? I know you can give in smaller amounts, but how do you give back and try to just survive? Because just rent alone is very expensive.
We're a little bit of a bubble down here, I think. I mean, Los Angeles is pretty expensive as well, but I heard my grandfather say it when I was growing up. It's this generation, this is the worst generation.
Yeah.
And everything's so expensive, you're not going to be able to afford this. They've been saying that forever.
That's true. You're absolutely right.
They're going to figure it out one way. They're going to figure it out one way or the other. And right now, things are very expensive, especially in this area. But it's a supply and demand. There's housing's a lot of demand right now, not a lot of supply. That's why our housing market did level off. Price-wise, but it's still getting top dollar in the country and other places. I know the housing market's been going down, so we're definitely blessed in a lot of things. But it's a challenge. If you want to be in this area, you got to figure it out for sure.
So I never considered nonprofit as a career. I was actually recruited by the CEO of the nonprofit that was my first job. But I never considered nonprofit as a career. And I'm a member of the Association of Fundraising Professionals. I think, I'm not sure if you're a member, but I know you attend the meetings. I noticed there are a lot of jobs.
I'm not a member. I crashed them.
You crashed the party?
I think I'm a member.
That's how we met, actually, at one of the events. Okay, great. But I noticed there are a lot of positions available on the site, especially for development professionals. It's a high turnover in the field. I know when I was a fundraiser, there was always the pressure of raising money, hosting events. And then sometimes they say, we're just a nonprofit, and they can't pay you what the for-profit rate is. So with that said, what do you find maybe one of the top challenges you experience working in the nonprofit world?
One of the challenges of I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
One of the challenges that you experience working in nonprofit, because not only is the pay tend to be a little bit lower than the for-profit world, there are not many males in the nonprofit world. It's mostly females.
Right.
So, what do you feel that some of your challenges are?
Everything's a challenge. You know what I mean? Every day is a challenge. That's kind of what I like about it, though. I guess the fact that I only work with, it's mainly females for sure. When I go to the meetings, it's me, but I'll find the one guy and I'll just gravitate over towards us and I'll be like, it's me and you, huh? But I like that because women. Hopefully, I'm not going to come off as being sexist right here.
Okay. Think about what you're going to say, guys. Think about what you're going to say.
Women work hard. They do, and they go at it, and they go full go, and the whole time. Kelly, who had my job before at Midwest Food Bank. All the time, Kelly's a bulldog, and they say they say in it like complimentary. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. She's aggressive on that. That's not my style. My style is a little bit more laid back things like that, and that's what works for me. It's the challenge being the only, a female-dominated one. It's almost an advantage for me at sometimes. Yeah. As far as the pay goes, I'll see a better work balance, we'll say. I had a situation relatively recently where one of my very, very close friends, who also was at a nonprofit, his wife had passed, and I went to Carl, my boss, and I said, hey, he needs some help. I need to go help him. And he was like, go help him. Go do what you got to do. This was like on a Tuesday. He said, just keep me posted. Come back on Monday. It wasn't like okay, well, this is a personal day and you're gonna, it was none of that. He was like, at least my nonprofit is big on family life, big on.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to take the good stuff with the bad stuff on that deal. But like I said, I've made a lot more money before, that's for sure. But I've never had a better job. It's never been more rewarding. I love telling people what I do. I just kind of sit back and smile when everybody's talking, and then, but you do see when I start talking, I'm in nonprofit. You can definitely see some people start scooching away from me a little bit.
I'm not going to ask them for money.
I'm not going to pickpocket you. It's okay.
Yeah.
Either you're philanthropic or you're not. I'm not going to convince you to give me money. If you want to give it to me, you will. If you don't want to, then you won't.
You'll smooze it out of them. I have a feeling that you have a way of schmoozing people. You're laughing, you're talking with them, and you're like, you're asking them questions, but you're gathering information so you can come at them with your different strategies.
Well, when somebody's sitting there bragging about how much money they make, I love that.
Yeah,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Congratulations. Wow, you're doing so well for yourself.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, being that, I'm a nonprofit consultant and I specialize in the babies, the startups and the small ones. And you know what people ask me that always surprises me? They ask me, how do I make money? I said, my clients pay me. So when they think about nonprofits, they think, because of the word nonprofit, it has this connotation that they can't make a profit. Yes, you can make a profit, because guess what? If you raised $100, your budget was $100, and you spent $99, $1 is a profit. That's the profit, right? So you can be profitable. Just something about nonprofit people just think that you can't. And then other positions that I've had where when I was working, while I'm building my business, I was making more money, but as I build my business, as you know, you don't really make any money.
Right.
I was still happier. God still provided. I've never missed a meal, never missed a bill. And like you, I feel like I'm living life on purpose, because I know that the work that I'm doing is impacting the lives of people. And so I can't imagine, doing anything else. And when I was working, all I could think about, I'm going to retire. I'm going to retire at 55. I don't remember the last time I talked about retiring, because I love what I do. Yeah. I mean,
we have a bunch of volunteers that, I'm not exaggerating, like they're in their 80s.
Wow.
And they want to drive the truck and they want to drive the forklift.
I bet you that's what's keeping them alive, because they have purpose. They have to come and volunteer for you.
They love working. These baby boomers, especially these farmers from the Midwest, like they're excited to come work. We got one guy comes down. He's got a CDL license. So those semis we have, you got to have a CDL license to drive them. And he comes down, drives it all around. He'll sleep in it. You know what I mean? It's just like he'll be going to Atlanta and back in a day. And
80.
He's not 80. That one's not 80.
Oh.
We do have 80 ones in the thing, but we have. I bet we have one of the drivers that's pushing 70 for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
We got some forklift guys out there that are definitely in their 80s, and they just sit there and they're just like kids moving the crates from here to there.
Oh, Scott, I always enjoy talking to you. We could talk all day, but we can't.